Good evening. What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of the Live Well. We're going to talk some postponed bass fishing, current conditions of the lake, and we got Farmer here with us, Johnathan Farmer here with us. We got Alex running the boards, and we've got a ghost sitting in this chair over here. So here's what it is. I've got a case of, I guess, the pollen's getting a hold of me, so I apologize for my voice tonight, but we're going to muscle through and talk about. We hope you guys have some good questions. Please spit them out. Your questions make the show. So anything you guys want to know about, want to talk about, let us know, and we'll kick it off with our sponsors real quick. First one up is Sonar Pros. Listen, we talked about it on Tuesday night. I didn't get to participate in the show at all, but, I think Clint said upwards of 25 or 30 of the elites are using Sonar Pros. If you want your boat, rigged properly, if you want the best, get it done by the best, that's Sonar Pros. Give Trent and them a call down there, 770-530-4505. Next up, we got the best guide, I think, personally, on Lanier, and that's Kevin Underwood with Lipsticker Fishing. I personally went with him. I know Alex has been a couple of times. Mm-hmm. Farmer, I know you went with him, but it wasn't that long ago. You were with him.
I got invited to go with him.
Yeah. I mean, he catches some megalodon fish. I was just telling somebody about it today. Give Kevin a call, 678-459-8419 or Kevin@lipstickerfishing.com, and check out his Patreon. I did it for a little while just to kind of see what it was about. I don't get to fish Lanier as much. I know Alex does it, and it has got some juice in that Patreon. So y'all check it out. Next up, we got the best rod sleeves on the market. That's Evolve rod sleeves. I've got a rod locker full of them. I trust them. I use them every day and really enjoy them. They got all the protections you need. They're easy to use. The hooks don't stick in them. They float. Everything you could ask for in a rod sleeve, and it's not those cheap, finger traps, what I call them. So, check out Evolve Fishing, evolvefishing.com. Next up, we got the best lure retriever on the market, the Money Saver Lure Retriever. I could have used this the other day. I didn't get one from Danny last time I was here, and I'm like kicking myself for it. So make sure you get it. It goes down like a missile, gets down to the bait, knocks it loose. Get your lure back, especially as much as we spend on these lures. Make sure you got the Money Saver Lure Retriever. Next up, we got the legend himself, Bill Payne. Like I said before, this guy's got more knowledge in one finger than I'll ever have in my entire body when it comes to fishing. Just listening to him talk, you won't regret booking a guide trip with him. Make sure you check him out. He's at Lake Allatoona. I think he does smallmouth trips on, at certain lakes, upon request. Give him a call, 706-280-2305. And then we got Brooks Anderson Fishing. Brooks is a really cool dude. Y'all check him out. He's on Facebook, I think Instagram. He's always putting out catching some bags of fish. If you got young anglers, high school, college, he really kind of caters those guys and gals. Just give him a call, get out on Lake Lanier and see what you can get going with that. And then we got Fishers of Hope. So their mission is to glorify God, be servants of his word, and to bring those in need to peace and hope, and that only he can bring. So they do bass fishing tournaments to help raise money for folks. I know Tony's probably in the comments, and he's got one. I saw.
Yeah, they got one coming up on the 10th.
On the 10th. Okay, that's what I was going to say. He's got one coming up on the 10th. I believe she had, she's cancer patient. They're trying to raise money to help with that. They could use your help. Please reach out to them. They're Fishers of Hope Ministry at gmail.com. That's the kind of stuff you need to be looking for. If we're all talking about we need more positivity in fishing, that right there is what you need to reach out to. And also, if you guys want to advertise with the show, make sure you get with Danny at fngo.com. Get it on the screen here. Trust me, people watch the show. If you got a business, please reach out to them. Get on the show. And then we got the one behind us, Turner Tire, 706-253-3339. If you need tires, they do alignments as well.
Yeah,
alignments, everything. I know the guys up here trust them. They all use them. So make sure you check them out at Turner Tire. All right. Well, I guess we'll get started real quick on some post-spawn fishing. Anybody got any comments in here yet?
Yeah, we're all fired.
Okay, we got Cranky Yang. What's up, dude? Yeah, you guys are late. You're all fired. We're late. How are we late? Oh, he's at 7:53. I got you. Howdy, everyone. Eddie, David, Doc Holiday, Grant Isaski. Justin, what's up, man? Grant, saw Paul Marks use a fluke stick this last week, and I think I remember someone talking about it on here before. Anyone use it? If so, how do y'all utilize it? Anybody use the fluke stick?
I use the fluke stick. I saw Paul Marks used it weightless, and he did it with. It almost looks like a tweaked type of Ned head, but it's a weedless Ned head with a full size hook.
Okay.
So he's probably swimming that thing like a regular fluke on top with the weightless, just kind of jerk pause, and then or letting it sit and fall. Weightless where it'll shimmy on its way down, and the Ned head's probably for throwing out there and dragging it. But with the herring spawn, I figured the guys that were doing well in the elites had targeted the herring spawn. They're going to run out of bedding fish in the first day or two.
Yep.
So I figured the guys that went after the herring eaters probably were the ones that did well.
I didn't get a chance to watch a whole lot of the live coverage. I did watch the last little bit of the last day, and I watched the weigh-in. And yeah, I was sitting there on the edge of my seat waiting to see how he did on that one, because I was like, okay, because they kept, and I know they talked about it the other night. They're not dogging nobody out because I like Drew, like all the guys, but they kept staying on everybody but Paul. I'm like, this dude's, was kind of set up to be the guy to win it. Why aren't you showing more of him? But I'm glad when he come across the stage, I was kind of going, does he even have enough? I don't even know if he's going to make it, So it was pretty cool. I was glad to see Paul pull it out. I was really kind of excited, and hopefully we can get him on the show. I know Danny's trying to work that angle. So Paul, if you're listening, get in touch with Danny. We need you on the show. Bad. I saw a comment up there. Yep. Michael Hefner, man, I've been listening to you guys on Spotify for months. I just realized y'all had a YouTube. I'm stoked, man. We appreciate you stopping by, Michael. There's a lot of great questions that pop up in these shows. That's the bad thing about listening on Spotify or the watching it after the fact. I noticed you don't get the comment section. So you miss a lot of the comments that are made. And there are a lot of guys will talk to each other too. And that makes for another side, while you're watching, you get to watch the comments, and it makes a whole lot of difference there too. What's up, Blake? What's going on, buddy? WB Harrington finally made it to the start of a show. Good deal. Mendel Bird having one of my toughest years ever, yet to catch a bass this year. Well, Mendel, you are in the right spot, man. We got some guys in here that can catch them, and we all spend time on the water. So hopefully we can answer any questions you might have. And if you got any questions, please put them in the comments. We're going to depend on you guys tonight. I got to know what y'all think about the old Q-bomb lure.
I don't even know what that is.
Yeah, I was going to say that's not my repertoire for sure. You got any idea?
No, I'll pull it up.
No, I don't. We'll Alex is going to Google that while we're talking, because I'm not familiar with that one. Some of us, so if for anybody that didn't know, I mean, Farmer's been fishing probably most of your life. Alex,
on and off, yeah, my whole life, but I haven't been doing it heavy until recently, like the last 5 or 6 years.
I got you. I fished when I was younger, up until about the age of 20.
A Harry Dice.
Harry Dice?
Yeah, Harry Dice.
Harry Dice.
Okay, I got you.
I do not.
Yeah, I don't have any opinion.
Definitely not.
I've never used it, and I've never bought one. I'm not saying I wouldn't, but I haven't tried it yet. But yeah, I fished when I was younger, and then joined the military and didn't fish for 20-something years. So I've gotten back into it about the last 3 years or so. So I've got a lot of stuff to still catch up on. All right, what we got next? Last time this guy was on, I spent too much money on farmers' jigs. That's what I like to hear, Eric.
Hey, catch him.
Listen, I've got Danny working on a color that I want him to build for me. He was supposed to look into it, so I'm hoping. Not saying I'll have a line, but it's kind of similar to what you got. What you already have going on. I just wanted a little additional color put in it, but he's got to find that color for me. So we'll see how that works out, and then I will probably go broke because I buy them by the handfuls myself. But so far, the ones I've got, I haven't lost this year, so we're doing a lot better. But I know we talked about it earlier, and Alex, you chime in as well.
Yeah.
I fished last Saturday out there, in Woodalley. Everybody knows I fish Woodalley, so mine's a little bit different than where y'all are at, probably setup wise. We don't have herring out there. We've got just regular, thread fin, gizzard, things like that. So I'm seeing a lot of post spawn activity. The ones I'm catching are obviously post spawn. They're starting to move off some things and then starting to move to other things. A lot of small spots starting to pull up to, the typical areas you catch small spots in, I guess. I mean, we don't have the big magnum spots like we have, have at Lanier. But what are y'all seeing?
That cop's on cam. He's asked that twice now.
Oh, got you. What's your top 3 states for bass?
Well,
top 3 states for bass. Well,
Texas, Florida, and California.
Yeah. Where I want to go fish? Yeah, absolutely. I think those three states definitely. I don't know.
Or no, I take it back. St. Lawrence.
That's what I was just fixing to say. St. Lawrence, New York.
Okay, I can go catch big spots out of Lanier. So I'll leave California out. I'll go Florida, Texas, and is it Michigan or Minnesota.
What's that, for St. Lawrence?
It's for St. Lawrence.
St. Lawrence is New York.
I thought that was
New
in New
York.
York.
Oh,
Yeah.
New York.
Like
New York.
upstate New
Yeah,
York.
I was gonna say St. Lawrence would have to be one, except for I would want a bigger rig than what I got to go out. I'm not taking my boat there. There's no way. I mean, I've got an 18-foot old Ranger. I don't want to traverse in that. But yeah, I would say definitely Florida. And we're gonna be down at ICAST in July, so I'm definitely packing some rods.
I hate not missing that.
Yeah, man, I hate it, dude. I mean, I'm gonna pack a few rods in the unless I can convince my wife to let me drag the boat down there. I'm gonna buy a little. I guess they got a 3-day pass. I don't know how they do it down there. I'm gonna try to catch some. I'd love to catch a peacock bass. That's kind of one I want to catch.
Yeah.
But that'll be my first time ever fishing in Florida. So we'll see how that works out. But Tony Watkins, if you was fishing Notley tomorrow, what are you targeting and throwing? I'm gonna divert the farmer on that one.
If I was going to Notley tomorrow, first thing I'd do is I'd target the herring because Notley has herring. I'd be targeting the herring spawn through your shallow points, your blow-throughs, rocky outcroppings, just anything that these herring are spawn on, but they'll spawn on just about anything. Boat docks are a big one on Notley. They do a lot of flipping on boat docks. But I'd start out that way, and then as the sun got up, I would just primarily stay with boat docks because it's getting to that time of year where those big largemouthers just hanging under those boat docks, just kind of recovering from the spawn, and they're eating these brim and bluegill that are stacked up under these docks now. So that's how I'd approach Notley. I'd start out targeting herring eaters, and then I'd transition to your docks.
So let me ask this question. I'm just going to ask it because obviously I fished a different area altogether, but starting back fishing a few years ago, my biggest goal was to catch fish going to any lake. That was my biggest goal.
Mm-hmm.
I want to be able to go to big water. Ponds, that's easy to figure out. But going to big water and figure it. Do we overthink it because of the name of the lake as far as catching fish goes? I mean, do these lakes, I know herring changes things a lot, but going to these lakes saying, I want to go catch fish, for the basic average angler that just wants to go out there and put numbers in a boat, I think it's more of a pattern thing. It's like I need to know what the fish should be doing, where they should be going.
It is
not necessarily,
no matter the body, and this is the way I feel it. No matter the body of water, you can take what they're supposed to be doing at that time of year, know where they're supposed to set up at, and just follow that.
That's right.
And you'll run into them.
Run into some kind
and
of
all you need really, if you're just wanting numbers, all you need is like 3 baits: a swim bait of some sort, either that be a 2.8 Kitech to a 3.8 Kitech, a worm of some kind, either that be wacky. And with a worm, you can rig it 1,000 different ways, but it seems like shaky head and a wacky rig and a Nico rig seem to catch anything swimming.
Right.
And then some type of power fishing bait, and either that be a jig or a top water, and you can catch fish.
And that's
throughout the United or continental U.S.
That's what I was getting at, because we get so caught up in seeing 20-pound bags or catching these gigantic fish, and we all and the reason I say that is I've noticed the last few shorts I've uploaded, it's been dink fish, because that's what I had a bunch of in the midst of some of the other fish I caught. I've got more views on just average fish than I have holding up 5 and 6 pounders or whatnot. And I think it just for the average fisherman that wants to go out there and catch fish, don't overthink the simple stuff. I mean, go out there and fish in your points and your docks and your riprap in the morning, especially for for shad spawn, things like that. Just think about where the fish should be setting up at. Don't overthink it too much. And I know I've got caught up in that as well, so that's why I wanted to ask that question that way. And I know
saying I keep in the back of my head every time I go fishing is keep it simple, stupid.
There you go. Well, you just showed me that thing a minute ago. It's very much so, because like I said, I would get caught up in trying to go find YouTube videos on that particular lake and seeing what those guys were doing, for this time of the year. And really I spent so much time trying to dissect that body of water. And I'd go out there, and let's say I caught some fish, I'm going, well, dang, they're right where I would have fished anyway. I just overthought it way too much.
A lot of the problem with the researching a lake through YouTube is, they'll give you the bait. Yeah, they'll give you what the current conditions are. But I also believe in that 90% of the fish are in 10% of the water.
Yep.
So if you find the area that they're stacked on, yeah, you're going to catch fish on those baits. But if you're just going down dead water, which the forward-facing sonar has helped tremendously out, is you can literally go down and go, there ain't nothing here, and go on. So it's just,
yeah. I mean, I just, like I said, I wanted to bring that up because that's kind of been one of those things that I've caught myself here in the last few months going, just go fishing. You don't have to overthink it. So what'd you have pulled up there, Alex? Tony said, my Notley's my home pond, but it's not been good to me in the last couple of years. I may just be in a slump. Appreciate the info. Exactly what I was thinking. Yeah,
Notley has always done this. It's really good pre-spawn to right after post-spawn. Once the water starts getting hot, the fishing gets tough on Notley.
Yeah, you and I were just talking about that, about the lake that we fished at, and it's the same way. You have a hot moment, and then it kind of goes dead. So.
But the fish, it's not like the fish go away. They just get line shy on Notley a lot. You'll see a lot of these fish, especially these big largemouth on Notley, they'll follow your bait out.
Yeah.
And they'll be right behind it and then pull off of it. Something's not right. Pull off of it. I don't know how many times you can be throwing one of those big, the 6-inch mag draft or the big 8-inch mag draft, skipping it around docks, and you'll see some of the biggest largemouth you've ever seen in your life come out under these floating docks.
Right.
We're just going to crash it. I mean, as fast as they can come and just bow up and stop and then pull off of it. And that's because something's not right.
That's what happened to me over that lake. I was throwing that swim bait, doing really well with it, and I went out there one day and I noticed I had a follower, but he was just following. He wasn't chasing. He followed it all the way back out there, and I thought, I got something for you. So I broke the jerk bait out, and the jerk bait has been on fire for me lately. It's been, wherever I take it, I'm getting bit on it. So, you get followers, and they're not hitting it, not biting it. Go to something different, something a little more erratic, or maybe even slower. Just depends on what they could be doing. Let's see. Andrew's feed. I think we said his name was Feed the other day. I have been hearing more and more about scroungers. Saw Will Davis Jr. throwing it at Hartwell. When and how are you throwing a scrounger?
Right now is the best time to throw a scrounger. Yep. Or, well, darn storms showed up.
I didn't know that. I didn't know we were expecting thunderstorms.
I didn't either. But
it's because I watched.
Right now is the best time to be throwing a scrounger, in my opinion, because right now you've got your shad spawn, either that be threadfin, gizzard shad, your herring spawn, which is your bluebacks, your alewives. Everything's up shallow right now and pulled. They're spawning on stuff. So throwing a scrounger type bait out there that gives that bait that injured kind of wobble as it's swimming through the water is extremely, extremely good. My favorite one is the pulse fish.
Okay.
Same scrounger, or it's not a scrounger, but the pulse fish lure cannot blow that thing out.
Okay.
Like your normal ones that you buy that are actually the scroungers. If you reel them too fast, they blow out and spin.
I got you.
The pulse fish ones swim straight. They make it from a 1/4 ounce all the way up to an entire ounce. They've got a huge one that you can sling out there and fish over deep water.
Wow.
So you can catch fish on a scrounger year round, but right now I feel like is the best time to do it.
So what is the difference between, and I'm asking this because I've never fished a scrounger. I've had them in my hands, looked at them, thought, okay, I'll get one day. But to me, it's very similar to almost like a chatterbait of some sort. I mean, it's got that same vibrate, wobble motion. It just gives it a different look, I guess. I mean, how would you compare it as far as chatterbait throwing? Not made for the same type of conditions?
Well, you can catch them in dirty water on a scrounger too. Scrounger for me is more of a sight. I like it in clean water because they can sit there and see it, and they come out and crash it. Some of the best times I've had scrounger fishing is during a shad spawn, and you see the shad up there shallow, and you throw that thing into the mix of that bait ball, and you reel that thing out of there like it's trying to run from something, and it gets that reaction from that bass, and he comes up, eats it. And you can put big baits on it too.
Right.
So like the new Cast Echo 7.2.
Yeah.
You can put that on a scrounger head and reel that thing. And because you've got so much soft plastic back there, that thing has got some wild action with that tail kicking back there.
Yeah, I need to get me a handful of those. I just haven't done it.
What you can do if you're having a lot of short strikes, like they're hitting the tail, You can take braid and tie a loop onto a treble hook,
right,
and then attach that braid to your scrounger hook and attach the treble hook to the back of the tail. Doesn't affect the action, but when they come up and hit it, you've got them on that.
Got them on the secondary hook.
Mm-hmm.
That makes sense. Tony, we actually mentioned it earlier, but we'll mention it again. Y'all don't forget a week from Saturday, May 10th, Fishers of Hope tourney on Chattooga, $60 entry for a lady battling cancer. Love to have some of y'all in there in Altoona, guys. We did mention that at the start of the show, but we'll mention it one more time because it is very important.
I'd love to come up there, but I think my little boy's got a ball game. I may just donate the entry fee.
Right.
That's usually what I do with those anyway.
Yeah. Yeah, y'all definitely get up there and check that out because I'm sure he could do it. Where would we stop off at? Grant, any tips for inducing more bites with a Sebile or sashimi? Well, that's a good question because I've only thrown one a handful of times, so I've got to get some more experience with that. But
don't get caught up in just straight reeling, throw it out, straight reel it back, throw it out, straight reel it back. Because you're going to get bites, but try and trigger them. The best way I've found is because it is a swim bait. If you're burning it and that thing's skimming across the top of the water, or not skimming across, but it's right under the surface waking, and you kill it and you throw slack in your line, that thing wants to turn.
Right.
Well, if you watch a bait fish when it's running from something, it runs so far, it runs straight, and then all of a sudden it'll try to cut off to the left or to the right. Well, it's doing the same thing with your Berkeley Magic Swimmers or your Spro Sashimis. Is you're bringing that thing out there like it's running, and all of a sudden you throw slack in it and kill that bait, and it turns. That's usually when they engulf it.
Okay.
Yeah, that's the only time I've ever been bit on a Sebile is when I'm burning and pausing.
Vary your retrieve. That's the biggest thing is just vary your retrieve with a some type of hard-bodied swim bait like that. Even with your soft-bodied swim baits, your Kitex, your Mag Drafts, your Berkeley coal shads, vary your retrieve. Don't be afraid to throw a pause into it.
Right. And
that's usually when they eat it. It's because it changed. Something changed. It caused that reaction strike. Right.
Yeah, I mean that's honestly 90% of my bites. It seems like come from that drastic change. Something different. Something's
It's it goes with any lure. Yeah. I mean, I do it a lot with my crankbait fishing.
Yep.
Is if you throw a pause or a pop of your rod to make that thing dance just a little bit more.
Yep.
That's usually when you get bit. If you pay attention when you're crankbait fishing and you're just straight reeling it, when you hit something and makes that crankbait dart off, that's usually when you get your bite. So if you can make your bait do that without hitting something, you're gonna trigger more strikes.
Right, and that we talked about it several shows now, and I'll bring it up again. Jerkbait fishing. I'll fish my jerkbait in shallow water because I want it to dig and bounce off. As soon as I let slack in it, it picks back up and moves. And when it moves, 90% of the time I get that bite on that when it digs in and moves. Were you smiling? I see you smile at
Brad
something.
Silver, he's going fishing in the rain.
In the rain. Do it night in the rain, and you know where I'm going to be. Yeah.
Right now, with everything going post spawn and you still got your herring and shad spawn going on, I wouldn't put a crankbait down.
Yeah.
I'd be throwing a crankbait all night.
Yeah.
That's just me because that's the way I like to fish. I like to move. I like to cover water. And now if I roll up on dock lights, I'll slow down.
Right.
I'll probably throw like an underspin around it. I'd probably throw. I know I'd throw a jig around it because that's where a lot of times you pick up your bigger fish that are sitting down towards the bottom looking up. Good way of catching largemouth.
Don't sleep on a shaky head around the dock lights either.
Absolutely.
And a wacky rig.
Yeah.
If you can you can skip a wacky rig under those dock floats and they'll be laying right under the floats. So
something I learned a few years ago, we fished we called it an Ironman tournament. It was from like 6 in the evening until 5 in the morning. It was stupid. We fished, my wife and I did. Something I realized too is just because you see dock lights, don't forget the area around the dock lights because that you got light and then you got shade. And we were catching bigger fish right outside the reach of that light with a shaky head. And we couldn't get anything that was swimming those dock lights to bite. I mean, there was monsters in there, nothing touch it. But you throw it to the edge of it, and they'd hammer it every time. So don't forget that too if you're fishing dock lights. And I don't fish them nearly enough.
Well, I mean, I've got for dock lights, I think I've got 5 baits that I'll throw. I've got a jerk bait
Mhm.
if they're being really active, and then you see them chasing bait through the light. Jerk bait, some type of swim bait, either that be just a Kitech or an underspin of some type. A worm, either that be wacky rigged or shaky head, a jig, and the other one I like, especially if I'm around shallow dock lights, is some type of shallow running flat sided crankbait.
Yeah. How do you like the? You tried the? What is it? It's the flat sided Berkeley. What is it called?
Fritz side.
Fritz side. How you like those?
I like them a lot. They're hard to throw.
Yeah,
they're really light. Now the bigger ones, they're not as bad, but the small
5s and 7s.
the 5s, if you don't have the right rod, you can't throw them worth of crap, and you better not throw them into the wind.
Yeah, and we found, because we use them at Wadowee a little bit, and we found the bills are really brittle for some reason. We don't know why. We've had a lot of broke bills and whatnot.
Mhm.
After, not immediately, but throughout the day you'll break a bill or two. So unfortunately, for the price they are, that's my only downside to them so far that I found.
Atlanta Outdoors reminded me of one
Yep.
that's come out recently that I fell in love with last year, and it was the Cast Echo, the small one.
Yeah.
The
little
2
the new
point,
ones.
the
Yeah.
2.5 or whatever it
Yeah.
is, the really small one, that has become a staple.
Really?
I'll throw it out there. You'll catch crappie.
Yeah,
you'll
little-
catch walleye. You'll catch anything that
You just
swims
throw-
with
you
that
just throw it
thing.
on a jig head, like a regular jig, like a
That or
jig.
the rolling strolling head.
Okay. There you go. There you go. There's some juice right there. And then he brought up with the hair jig, same principle. I mean, it's you're creating that same profile, that tiny, small fish profile. So that works good too. Let's see what else we got.
Oh, he's going to Carter's.
Random 45. 20 years ago, GON and other publications predicted that Carter's would produce the next state record spot. It seems to me that fishing has fallen off and large spots are hard to come by. What happened? And I've never got to fish Carter's. So
Carter's has shown to be a spot bass fishery this year. There's been more 20-pound bags caught out of Carter's in the last year than there has been in the last 5.
Yeah.
I've seen a ton of 20-pound bags this year alone come out of Carter's. And I know for a fact there is the DNR 4 years ago shocked one up that was a Georgia state record.
Really? Wow. And that was at Carter's.
That was at Carter's.
There you go. I mean, maybe it's not.
I've seen a 7.5 pounder come out of Carter's in a tournament.
Wow. I mean, that's I think, like I said, I don't know, 20 years ago, I wasn't fishing 20 years ago, but I mean, some of these lakes go through their cycles. We talked about that the other day, or I think Tuesday night, y'all talk about the cycles of lakes. They go up and down. You have lakes that show out for a little bit and then they'll drop off after a while. And that may be because we're not harvesting enough fish, or it could be pressure, or anything. And I don't know how much Carter's gets, but it could be any of those things.
Carter's for the size lake it is, gets a lot of pressure. But the thing is with Carter's is the bait fish that are in there are deep water bait fish. The alewives love deep water. So they stay out there over that 100 foot of water. Everybody's over there fishing in 40, 50 foot,
Right.
dragging a worm. Yeah, you're going to catch fish, but it seems like, and since forward facing sonar has come out, I have realized on Carter's Lake, most of these fish just roam.
Yeah.
Year round. They're just out there, the bigger ones. Now your 2 and 3 pounders, yeah, they're on humps. They're
predictable spots.
Yeah, they're predictable spots. But your big ones, I've noticed a lot. Sometimes your bigger spots are hanging out with a striper.
Yeah, it's funny you say that. We when I went with Lipsticker last year, we got to a spot and it was my first time seeing on forward facing a mega school. He's like, it's probably striper. He throws down. I don't remember if he had a underspin. He had something on there anyway. He throws out there to it, pulls up a 4.5 pound spot in the middle of what he thought was stripers. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
So they're mingling.
They're mingling with the striper.
And that same spot, I went on a guide trip the year before, and my only fish I caught that day was a 5 pound largemouth in that same exact spot in a school of stripers. So I mean,
it has a lot to do with the bait fish that you got. I mean, the alewives and the threadfin, they stay deep.
Mm-hmm.
And with Carter's having the re-reg down there, you never develop a thermocline, so they can stay as deep as they want. Right. So it's not going to
Sorry, we're reading a comment.
Yeah.
Up 2 foot, down 4
Oh,
foot.
it's they're killing. It's making it tough for sure, Brad.
Is that Carter's he's talking
Yeah,
about?
he's on Carter's.
Okay.
When he said there's no light, there's no any moon, there's not even moonlight. Yeah, I knew where it was at. His Carter's. That lake gets dark.
Yeah. Well, then, that's the way Wadowee used to be. There was nobody out there, and now there's more houses and marinas and stuff. But of course, nothing like Lanier. But now it's
Carter's is one of them lakes. Unless you know where you're at, don't go at night.
Right. Absolutely. How big a lake is Carter's? Do you remember what the acreage is on?
I don't remember. It's a lot smaller lake. You can run the entire lake in like 15 minutes.
Oh wow! So it is small then.
Yeah.
But it's deep.
Seen 2 gizzards caught in Carter's Monday. 2
Here's
pound
one.
gizzards.
Yeah, there's some
missing,
monster gizzard shad in Carter's, but it's the same thing. I mean, once the gizzards come up, do their thing, they move off.
Yeah.
Just like everything else does, and they go out there and you'll see one get blasted out of the water over 400 foot by a striper, and you're like, well, I ain't going to do that.
Right.
And I think I'm not completely sure on the acreage on Carter's, but it is a very small reservoir. It's just got a lot of water just because of its depth.
Right.
But it's a very small reservoir.
Because I think Wadowie's only like 9,500 acres. It's a small, so 10,000 acres. It's pretty small. So I didn't know how big it was compared to Carter's. What was that question you just had pulled up from George Thornton? Anyone ever use the Hybrid Hunter crankbait by Strike King, and what rod and reel to use?
Yes, I actually like the Hybrid Hunter.
Okay.
It's made more for grass.
Mm-hmm.
The L-shaped bill is made more for grass, coming through like sparse grass. Does really excels in wood too.
Okay.
It's extremely hard to get hung up.
I've seen them. I don't think I've ever used one. I may have. But
I like them. I like them more pre-spawn,
right?
Because I've got that hard knocker in there. And if I'm really shallow, like I found a lot of fish shallow, I'll tie on one of the small Hybrid Hunters and throw down the bank. The rod that I use is the Tournament Legend Glass, heavy with 15-pound test and I think it's a 6.3 to 1 reel.
With a heavy. Wow. Okay.
Well, it's a glass rod, so
Yeah,
it's still bent. The reason I use a heavy, it's because of where I fish most of my baits like that.
I got you.
I'm throwing it into the thickest of thick laydowns, and when I hit one, I want him coming to me. But the thing is, with the glass rod and treble hook baits, you've got enough bend in the rod when they come up and walk. They can't get leverage on you as well because that rod never completely unloads like a fast tip rod.
I got you.
So they're always pinned.
Right. Well, that's why when you said heavy, I was like, heavy. That's you don't hear heavy a whole lot. So Lander said about 3,200.
He's right. It is 3,200.
And where do herring go at night? What about thread fin?
To the bank.
Yep.
Especially right now while they're spawning. Most of your shad spawn happens at night.
You're catching the tail end of it
when you go in the morning. You're just catching the very tail end of it. If you ever notice, as soon as that sun crests the trees, the shad spawn stops, and they start moving out, and that's when you start getting those fish on the blow throughs and stuff like that because they're catching them as they're coming out. So that's why your blow throughs and your little sloughs right off your main drag are so good this time of year because those bass will hem these bait fish up and keep them in there. And as they try to come out, they'll feed on them. They'll go back. They'll come back. And it's just a cat and mouse game.
Exactly. It's like a back and forth with them.
But most of your shad and herring spawn happens at night.
Right.
So, like you're just catching the tail end of it in the morning. So
I mean,
right now they're going to the bank.
I have been that guy, especially this time of the year, because I know Lanier's got to be the same way. But wherever I fish, I'm off the water by 11 o'clock. I don't like being out there past unless I'm in a tournament because it's a nightmare. But so I'll sneak out there an hour before to go fish those hot spots because they're usually on fire an hour before daylight. I can get there safe because nobody else is out there. Fish it till 11, and I've had my day. And like you said, they're on those typical spots where they should be, whether it be the bank or humps or whatnot, and it's a lot better fishing. So keep that in mind if you're just going fun fishing. Go an hour before daylight because
get out there while you're with that herring spawn or that shad spawn still going on.
Yep.
and they're easy to find because, I mean, just listen for them. They're flipping all over themselves, and they make it easy to find them.
I went a couple of weeks ago to Wadowee, and a buddy of mine had fished I think the weekend before, and he was telling me, he caught up, and Jim, he might be in here tonight, I don't know. He caught up with a shad spawn and had like 17 pounds in 30 minutes the morning of the tournament. He didn't catch it till 9 o'clock, but by 9, so that's 10 o'clock here. But by then, because it's such a deep lake anyway, we got steep banks, so the sun hadn't quite crept up to that spot yet. So he was able to catch that. I never did find that shad spawn in that area, but I did end up catching a lot of fish and a few big ones, but nothing the 17-pound mark that he had for sure. But what we got next? Grant Isaski, are there still trout in Lanier, and do those old trout swim baits work? I feel like I used to hear more about them years ago, it seems.
It's a bait that fell off because of the herring. You can still catch them with the trout because, I mean, both the Chesty and the Chattahoochee get stocked with trout. So I would say I would probably throw it more up in the rivers than I say I would. I mean, it'll still work on the south end, but I'd say I'd throw it up in the rivers more. But it still works. I still throw a trout colored mag draft. I love a trout colored mag draft. That's one of my favorite colors. Really? I've got a couple Berkeley Magic swimmers that are painted like trout. So
that's a little bit of juice there. I don't
yeah, well, they
tried to sneak it by there.
The largemouth love them.
He tried to sneak it by there, and I was like, really? Because you don't hear. We talked about it a couple weeks ago with John Allred was in here, and we were talking about carp colored. People don't think about the carp colored baits because those are things they're not seeing a lot of. But guess what's in there?
There's another one. The S-Waver 160 is a
Rainbow
really
trout,
good one too.
S-Waver 160. Yeah, I mean, just those baits. I mean, we've talked about it before. You don't have to throw the same color everybody else is throwing. You can break off into think outside the box with some of that stuff, and you may be surprised with what you get. I mean, I got a couple of buddies that paint crankbaits, and I'm going to take my Spros to them this year. And some of because I've got a ton, Spro, and I've got a ton of the DTs. And I'm like, man, I didn't even think about getting those painted that the colors I could use. You know what I'm saying? So, I mean, instead of spending money, I'll just go have some painted.
There's a video out there floating that I have took to heart because of what I saw. A bass will attack a fish that looks like an oddball out. Like they had like 4 jars sitting out in the bottom of the lake that was full of minnows, and they had one jar that had a goldfish in it.
Right. And
that bass kept knocking over that jar with a goldfish in it.
That makes sense. I mean, we've talked about it for years.
A goldfish colored bait is hard to beat.
I'm going to tell you, that's kind of I'm not going to let all the juice out, but gold colored is what I like to throw because I mean, it just seems to work. And I'll just leave it at that. That's how I got a lot of confidence in one of the baits I didn't have confidence in years ago. And it was all because of one color. Then I'll throw the crap out of it now. But
gold, a lot of your shiners.
There you go.
Your gizzard shad, your skipjack, a lot of your shiners have a gold hue to them. And that is gold's really hard to beat. I mean, but there is a saying going around us is if it's not chrome, stay at home.
Yeah. I mean,
Lanier, if you're throwing, I mean, you can get away with bone, you can get away with pearl, you can get away with all these other colors, but it seems like a chrome bait is how you catch most of the fish. But I've noticed in the last year, the chrome baits have started to take a dip because they see them so much.
Yep.
Where we'll take this for example. I took a storm chug bug, known bait for Lanier.
Right.
I was getting fish to come up, and they come right up underneath it and circle off of it. Because they see the blue and chrome chug bug. I took black Sharpie and colored a dot right here in the front and put a dot of chartreuse from just a regular highlighter further down in the belly and they would choke it just because it was something different. It didn't look like the thousand of chug bugs that they've seen.
I'm telling you, I'm a firm believer that they're seeing a lot of the same baits. And I think that's why certain bait makers who got creativity in pouring plastics or whatever they create, whether it be like the the Brigade Blade or the MRE, those things are different. They're not seeing that same profile. They're not seeing that same color. And I'm a firm believer that it works. If we change it up just a little bit to get it out there, I mean, I think it makes a huge difference. And I was going to say something a minute ago about it, but I don't remember what. I lost train of thought with that. But
I'm a big. I change out all my top water hooks to red hooks for the front hook.
Do you?
Every time.
I got you.
And it may be a confidence thing for me, but when I started doing it, I noticed fish were instead of hitting the back with the feather treble,
right,
they're hitting the front treble.
That's true. I mean, it makes sense. I mean, I do change out hooks. I don't necessarily change them red or whatever, but I do play around with that kind of stuff. So I mean, maybe something I try this year because, like you said, I mean, you got that feather back there in the back, but that red maybe because by then for top water, we talk about red hooks for diving baits. The red loses its color with the first 5 feet or so.
5 feet,
but the top water, guess what? It's not losing.
It's not losing.
They're seeing that red, and I do think that red makes a difference. I do think it makes a difference, especially on that part of it. What else we got question wise up there? We had one a minute ago about blow throughs. Dull gold or shiny gold? Well, I'll answer that real quick. I like shiny gold. I want something with a little flash to it, and that may be because where I fish at to get my confidence in a lure. It's dirtier water. It's more of that. It's a largemouth lake, and I'll go out there with that gold, whatever, and it gets hit. So it's got to be shiny though for the most part. What do you think?
Both. I purposely do this. I buy two no matter what I do. I buy two of each. The same bait, but it's two of them. I'll take one and I keep it shiny, and then I'll take a piece of sandpaper and roughly sand both sides and dull it. And let them tell you what they want.
There you go.
On the cloudier days, I like the duller one. On the sunny days, I like the shiny one.
Does make sense.
It's big on chrome too, because it makes it makes it reflect light in different directions.
So it's almost like that broken glass type thing instead of it being a straight chrome blade or whatnot. That makes a lot of sense. You
can do the same thing with leaving them in the let them sunbake in your truck, like let it sit on one side for 2 days and then turn it over, let it sit on the other side for 2 days and dull it. But I found that it's quicker just to get a fine grit sandpaper and just kind of sand it, roughly sand it, and it'll dull it down enough to where if you're catching one day on the shiny one and it's bright sun outside, but cloud cover comes in, but you want the same action and doing the same thing, but you needed it a little bit duller. Yeah. You got the same bait. You've got everything you need.
Sense. I never thought, honestly, I don't think about, the dull versus the shiny myself, but that makes a lot of sense. I guess it's something I'll be playing with now because I always buy multiples of everything. So I might keep one shiny, keep one, dull. Makes a lot of sense. We had a question up there. I don't remember who it was from. It was describe a blow through. There you go. Sorry, Derek. I didn't see this up there. How would you describe a blow through?
A blow through is the saddle in between islands, in between choke points where it just gets really shallow really quick and then drops back off on the other side. So most of them are the most well-known ones are from your mainland to an island sitting out here, and the in between the two are a blow through.
Those spots that the jet skis always blow through.
Yeah, the blow through.
They blow through them and you can't ever fish them.
But
they don't.
That is my definition of a blow through.
And it doesn't have to be sticking up out of the water.
It does not. Correct. It can be. My favorite ones are about 5 feet under the water.
Yep. I was fixing to say mine right now.
Just enough to where that shad can go over top of it, and the fish sitting on the other side of it, waiting to ambush them. The ones that are 2, 3, or 2 foot, 1 foot, they're getting a little too shallow, but they'll still get on them.
Yeah, those fish will definitely sit on both of those. And you might think of old pond dams in a lake. That's a blow through where if they busted the dam out or not. If it's flooded over that old pond dam, that could be considered a blow through. And the reason I say that, and I don't want to tell too much, but because I'm not going to give the spot up, but one of the really good places I've caught fish on Lanier was that way. you know.
Oh, I know exactly where you're at.
I mean,
Exactly where you're at.
And
it's really good.
It's really good, but it's a blow through, and it only worked when the wind was blowing there.
Mm-hmm.
If it wasn't blowing, you wouldn't.
That is a key. That you mentioned that's a key thing with blow throughs. If there's no wind present, you still catch fish,
Yep.
but it's not the best. If you can find one and you can sit on the windward side,
yep.
where the wind's blowing in your face, and you
That's
can
it.
cast up onto that blow through and bring your bait back to you the way the wind's blowing, that's where most of your bigger fish are going to sit.
That's right.
Because the bait fish are going to follow the wind.
Right.
Because the wind causes current, and the bait fish are just, I mean, they're bait fish are filter feeders, so they're looking for that plankton and everything like that. Where the wind blows, that's why your windblown banks are so good, because it's where most of the food for the bait fish are, and when the bait fish are there, the bass are there.
Yep. And I mean, you got to think, like you just said, that's where the wind, it funnels into those areas, and when it funnels, it pushes the plankton or the micro whatever in there, and the bait fish chase it and not realizing what they're doing. They chase it right in the jaws of a fish, like a bass or whatever. So, but yeah, any of those type things are blow throughs. All right, what we got next up? What's your favorite shaky head worm?
You can start with that.
I brought some in. I didn't bring them in here because I didn't know what we were going to talk about as far as everything goes. But I typically go with a Zoom trick worm. Okay, that's what I learned on. But watching this show a couple years ago, they were talking about a certain worm, and I'll tell everybody what it is. It's the Zoom Z-crawl worm. And for me, on the lake I fish, that thing will be hot for the next 2 months, and they will absolutely destroy. That's how I got my confidence in a shaky head, believe it or not, was going out to that largemouth lake and using it. And the Zoom Z-crawl worm will absolutely, green pumpkin, or I'll even go to a June bug, but green pumpkin's always a good one. Or I got the watermelon red too, but that's been a great shaky head worm for me. But go ahead, Alex. What do you got?
My preferred shaky head worm is a Senko.
Yeah. There you go.
But at times I will put a true finesse worm on there. And when I do, I go with the Trickster. What's he call it? The Moneymaker?
Yeah. Something
like that. Trickster. I forget which one it is.
But
it's from Trickster Baits, and it's a long worm with a
6
fat
inch,
tail on it. I think it's a 7 or 8 inch.
Okay. Good deal. Farmer, what you got?
2 ends of the spectrum. I like the Zoom shaky head worm, the Magnum shaky head worm, the long one. And I like a Reaction Innovations pocket rocket. Okay.
Heck yeah. I bought 3 different bags this year of the Producto worms, and I'm going to try them out a little more this year. I got them just specifically for shaky head to see how they work. I'm going to see how good those work. Supposedly they're supposed to be pretty good. I know where I fish at, you said Senko a minute ago. Like I've said on the show before, we're in that month, the next 2 months, where the Texas rig black Senko or trick worm it'll be money where I'm at. So
one bait that doesn't get mentioned because they're so hard to get is another one I like is the Berkeley Magnum hit worm.
Yeah. I had never fished.
I like that on my Nico.
Well, it's a killer on a Nico, but it does well on a shaky head too, especially if they want it drugged.
Well, Jim will be proud of me because I actually tied on a weighted wacky worm for the first time ever. Weighted. I tried it the other day because that lake I fished at, there was nothing. Of course, then they ended up biting a jerk bait. So I was like, well, I was fishing the whole wrong way anyway, but I did tie it on to see how it worked. I'm not a wacky rig. I don't have the patience for it. So I tied
wacky rig's got its time.
It does.
And it's really good right now. It's really hard to beat around docks, especially during a herring spawn. One of Danny's favorite colors that is it killer shad or
I don't even know.
It's really hard to beat during a
I think it's like monster shad or something.
Monster
like that.
shad,
Yeah.
that's it.
And then Jim asked, would you throw a top water on a windy blow through?
Yes.
Yeah.
So I tied something on this weekend. I fished a tournament Saturday. First time I fished in 2 months. It didn't end as well as I hoped it would. And I'll have a video out about it this next week. But anyway, so I tied on the Wee Whacker. Mm-hmm. Holy crap. I didn't get hit, but it was dead calm. That thing sounds like bait fish coming through the water. Yep. It sounds just like shad popping the water. I'm like, that thing's going to be deadly when the buzzbait bite turns on for real. Or, maybe I just wasn't in the right spot at the time. That thing sounds wicked.
What was it? I just saw something.
Oh, I got you.
Oh, the top water question. My favorite top water for when it's windy is some kind of walking bait. Not so much your poppers. I mean, I'll still throw a chug bug out there and spray water and see if that'll bring them up. But an Ima skimmer, a gunfish, the shower blow. I really like the Cast OG when it's windy.
I got
Yes.
They're hard
the more
to beat.
Windy, the more wind you got, the better it is.
What about it makes it better? So I throw the Berkeley cane walker, and then I'll throw it in the wind. I love it. I mean, it's great. So what I have I'm not gotten
the OG is not a walking bait.
It's not a walking bait. It's a pull or real quick. Make that thing do a bunch of S kicks, and then make it come back up, and it'll stand nose up.
I got you.
So it gives it a bubble trail when you key your reel in real fast and burn it just a couple reels. It'll have a bubble trail, and it'll do that S kick like a bait fish does when it's dying.
I got you.
And usually when it comes up and sitting, they come up and
I'm just
whack it. But
getting tired of seeing everybody catching their PBs on one of those things.
They're awesome.
I'm gonna buy one.
The Ima skimmer is another one. I love the bigger Ima skimmer when the wind's blowing.
Right. All right. So I don't have any tips for Murray this time of year. I have never fished Murray.
Neither have I.
Murray, if I'm not mistaken, Murray has herring in it as well.
I think it does.
It sets up a lot like Lanier and Hartwell. So everything we've been talking about for like Lanier, fishing the shad spawn and herring spawn, that's what I would be targeting first thing in the morning. But I'm pretty sure Murray has more of a largemouth presence in it than say Lanier does. So target herring spawn first thing in the morning with either buzzbait, top water, so a fluke, something like that. And then I would go to where your largemouth, where you're going to find most of your largemouth docks, lay downs, stuff like that, and drag a jig or something like that.
Brad's got a good question. How deep do you think largemouth could or would go on Carter's? Spots unlimited, but where do you think largemouth could be?
They'll go deep too. I mean, I caught a 4-pound largemouth out of Carter's in 70 foot of water.
I was just fixing to say, I think the largemouth will go just as deep as the spots.
Well, it's because the bait fish, they're going to go where the bait fish are at. And I mean, if you find bluegill beds, which is easy to do on Carter's because they've only got so many places they can go, so they're real predictable. Then that's where you can find a lot of your big largemouth is picking on them. The further you go upriver, the easier it gets. But on the south end of Carter's, there's no telling how deep those largemouth can go, just because they have a swim bladder just like spots and any fish do. It's just they're a lot more susceptible to getting blown out when you catch a largemouth that deep. They seem to suffer more than say spots do for some reason.
I told you about the largemouth I caught at Lanier like a year, the year before I caught that went with Underwood. I want to say we were sitting. It was near one of the marinas. It was deep. We were sitting out deep, and it ended up not making it because I pulled it up out of deep water, and it didn't take seconds, and it was done for. I mean, it was. I want to say 35, but I think we were deeper than 35. It was deep right there where we were at. So, yeah, I think they'll go. Look, I got a thumbs up. I didn't mean to. I've been trying to avoid that all night because it goes crazy on here. Going to Burton tomorrow. What should I do, KJ? Anybody fish Burton?
I do. Apparently, I fish everywhere.
Hey, that's good.
If I was going to Burton, as crystal clear as that water is, I'd start out. Are you wanting to go for your personal best largemouth or spotted bass, or are you just going to go catch fish? Because there's two different ways to approach Burton.
Hey, we got nothing but time and air.
If I was going for a big one, I would I'd have 2 rods on my front deck. It would be a big mag draft and a glide bait colored in trout If you're just going to catch fish, I would put on a top water and cover every point that I saw and just go out there and throw it, because they're going to be up there on them points. The spots are, and if you're wanting to go for largemouth, just go back in these pockets. And if they're post spawn, hit the first 4 or 5 docks in a pocket on the in the back of it, because that's where they're going to be sitting.
Yep. And I've noticed over the last couple of weeks, the spots, if you want to catch numbers, all the spots I've been seeing, any kind of wind cutting across the mouth of a pocket, they were all staged just in those areas, they should be in. And now they were dinks, but if I threw into the wind on any open pot, mouth of any pocket, I was catching.
If I was going to Burton tomorrow and I was just going to go fish, if I'm just going to go catch fish, I just want to catch fish, then I'd put on a top water or a buzz bait or something like that first thing in the morning, just cover water. And then I might slow down once the sun got up and go hit docks. But if I'm going for a monster, which are in Burton, I would have, like Brad says, a 7 to 9 inch rainbow trout colored bait, and I would just throw it and I'd never put it down.
Really?
Because
how big of fish are we talking in Burton? I mean,
they're freaking monsters.
Really?
If I'm not mistaken, the state of Georgia's spot bass record is held in Burton.
Wow.
And there are more 10 to 12 pound largemouth caught out of that lake per year than most North Georgia lakes.
I need to make a trip to Burton then.
Well, the reason is that it has a trout hatchery right on its banks.
I got you. And
they release trout nonstop into that thing. And those fish are used to eating trout. You can, one cool thing about Burton is you can actually go buy 5 to 8 inch trout. And you can go up there in the wintertime and hook these fish, and it's a pole dock lake too.
Oh, wow.
So you can flip that live trout right next to that dock, and it'll swim in, and all of a sudden you'll see a line running right back at you. And there's like a 9-10 pound largemouth just chasing this trout.
That's all I needed to hear. I've never fished there, so that might be a.
It's
lake.
Extremely clear lake.
Yeah.
I mean, we think Lanier, Blue Ridge, Carter's is clear. Has nothing on Burton.
Really?
Burton is gin clear. You can sit down. You can see down 15, 20 feet.
Wow.
Burton's up in Clayton, isn't it?
Mm-hmm.
I have to check that one out. Like I said, I've not fished anything above Lanier personally.
It's a lot of. I mean, if you want to make a trip and you want to make a fun trip, start it out and make it about a week or two, or a week and a half. You can start at Altoona.
Yeah.
And then the next day you can hit Carter's. The next day you can hit Blue Ridge.
There you go.
The next day you can hit Notley. The next day you can hit Chattooga. And then you you can hit Burton, and then it curls all the way back around, and you end on Lanier.
There you go.
And you go home. Make a big loop, and it pretty much follows 515 all the way up until you get to Chattooga, and then you turn off.
I have to do that because, like I said, I had never fished. That was one of the things I want to do this year is fish different lakes in Georgia. Fished a lot of Alabama lakes over the last few years. I want to fish a lot of the Georgia lakes. So.
If you were to say stay in LJ or Fannin County, you could literally be at Altoona in 45 minutes. You could be at Carter's in 30 to 15 minutes. Right. You can be if you stay in Blue Ridge, you can be on Blue Ridge in 5 minutes. If you stay in Blue Ridge, you go to Notley, you're at Notley in 15 minutes. You're at Chattooga in 30 minutes. Now, and Burton's 45 minutes on up the road.
One of those lakes I do want to fish. I've been looking at that for a couple of years.
We got a pretty cool little setup going up Highway 5 and 515 because you can hit just about any lake, and every lake fish is different than the next one. Blue Ridge, you catch a lot of fish on perch patterns. There's so many yellow-bellied perch in Blue Ridge that you can catch a lot of fish on perch pattern. One of my favorite ways to fish Blue Ridge is in February and March is you go with the little SR5s in Fire Tiger, and you throw it up on them little flats and stuff because that's when those yellow-bellied perch are shallow, and they will absolutely kill it. I mean, 4 to 5 pound spots. My PB smallmouth, which is a 6'2", come on a little SR5 out of Blue Ridge.
There you go. Is that somebody asked the question? Does it fish a lot like Notley, or does it fish similar?
Blue Ridge?
Yeah.
A a lot of the same baits you can throw on Notley, you throw on Blue Ridge because it's another herring lake. But a lot of these lakes that we've got around here that we're talking about, you can fish them the exact same way and catch fish.
Right.
Right now, the herring spawn's going on Blue Ridge, so blow-throughs, shallow flats, rocky outcroppings, and you can fish swim baits like the Berkeley Magic Swimmer, sashimi shad, fluke, topwater, any of these lakes that are herring lakes. You can. The only one that I know of that is not a herring lake, truly a herring lake, is Burton. Carter's does not have. I don't think it has bluebacks, but alewives are a type of herring,
right.
So it has herring in it. It's just not bluebacks.
Right.
It has been confirmed. Altoona does have blueback herring in it now.
Oh yeah.
Blue Ridge has had bluebacks forever. Notley's had bluebacks forever. Chatoogs had bluebacks forever. The lake that both Notley and Chatoog feed, Lake Hiawassee in North Carolina, it has bluebacks. So most of these lakes around North Georgia have bluebacks. It's just a handful of them don't. Burton, I don't think, has them, and I may be wrong. People may have went up there fishing with live bait, and they had got herring from Chatoog and went up there and fished with them. So that's the way we end up with a lot of herring in a lot of these lakes is just taking them where they're not supposed to go.
That's exactly.
So Burton does have them. So I wasn't sure on Burton because I get tied up into the rainbow trout bite so much.
Hey man, if you tell me I can catch one with a rainbow trout, that's what I'm gonna throw. I'll end up getting some stuff done, painted, or buy some stuff that's trout color for sure. What else we got up there? I saw where Philip Hutchinson said that it's such a clear lake because of the Tallulah and no development along the river going to the lake itself, and that's pretty common. I mean
it's extremely clear. You talk about a lake that's line shy.
Yeah,
that lake's line shy.
Really?
I had to drop down to, and I never do it. I hate it. I had to drop down to 6-pound test.
Wow.
On a little swim bait to get them. The last time I was up there to get them to bite.
Dang, that is getting.
It's getting to the point where I'm like,
yeah, that's some light line right there. If you get down to 6, I don't know. I know I've never thrown a 6. Not bass fishing anyway. So, what's going on prohibition fishing? What's happening? And then Jonah said they caught a yellow perch out of the log this weekend, but never had any hickory log. So.
There's a lot of yellow-bellied perch in Georgia. They're just not targeted like they are up north. Now Blue Ridge loaded with them and big ones.
Yeah,
I mean, I can't tell you how many times I went up to Blue Ridge, not even fishing for them, fishing for bass and catch 2.5-pound yellow-bellied perch.
Yeah,
you talk about some good eating though.
Oh yeah,
they take a close second to walleye.
Really?
Close second.
I had never eaten any perch
that
I know of. I may have. I don't think I have.
They beat out crappie tenfold.
Hey, I tell people this all the time, and I think they talk about this Tuesday night as well. Spotted bass. I'd never eaten a spotted bass. I caught plenty of them, never eaten one until last year. Went to Altoona, caught a few.
They eat good too.
Man, those things are. But wait, they talked about them Tuesday night, only eating them during the colder months. The meat was better during the colder months than it is during the more. The time I caught them was in colder months. So I don't know. I've never tried to.
It's their diet based, what they're going off of, because in the wintertime they're more based on shad and moving. That's why walleye and perch taste so good and crappie taste so good. It's because they're known. That's all they really eat is bait fish. They're not going around rooting around on the bottom eating mud. Garbage. That's why catfish tastes good, but that's why their meat's so yellow.
Yeah, it's different. Got some different flavor to it for sure. And then Brad just asked, do you weight your sashimi or Seville?
Like I said, I buy when I go and buy, I buy 2 of each, and I will actually weight the Magic Swimmers.
Really?
Because the new now, when it was the Sebilles before Berkeley bought them out, they didn't seem to blow out as bad or swim on their side. So you got to add some suspend strips or suspend dots to them to make them stay flattened out. And if you add enough you can get it down there further, and you can keep it further underwater. And
what depth are you trying to? What depth are you just?
Anywhere from waking it on top to about right where I can't see it.
I got you. I've only used them a handful of times, and it was over at Wadowee because it's about the time when they start biting them on linear. I'll kind of use linear as my gauge, especially with the show, to see what I should be throwing over there, and I'll throw it out there. I just hadn't had. I think I might have caught one on one, but it wasn't.
Most of my bites, like I said earlier in the show, is when I either kill it and that thing kicks, or it's down in the water column to where I can barely see it, and they're coming up and eating it. That is the big one. Is when the wind's not really blowing that much. When the wind's blowing and there's a lot of chop on the water, I can keep it high, and they'll come up and eat it. But if it's not slick calm, but it's just a tiny chop, I actually like that thing to where I can just barely see it, because they're not coming up and busting bait out of the water. They're eating subsurface.
I got you. They're just looking for a meal, but not necessarily chasing the top. What's your best mountain largemouth lake?
Notley.
There you go. That was
Notley.
Notley.
Notley, hands down. It has had the F1s in it forever. And to be frank and not sound like I'm tooting my own horn,
toot it away.
5 years in a row, I had one over 9 pounds out of Notley. My best fish my best largemouth I've ever caught come out of Notley. It was a 10-8.
Wow.
There's so many big largemouth in Notley. It's ridiculous. I know there's one pocket every year I can go in it. I see more 5 and 6 pounders in that one pocket during this time of year that I ever see anywhere else. I mean, you literally go in there and it's just row after row of just giants.
Wow. I'm gonna have to figure out a way to get some property up here in North Georgia because
I've got to take you all up to Notley when it's good, because
I need to go up there one day.
It was this time of year that I caught the big one, and it was on a top toad. I skipped it up under a dock, and we couldn't get them to bite, and we were seeing a bunch of brim up under docks, and these fish would crash a bait, but they, like I said, they'd blow up and stop, and they wouldn't eat it. They just look at it and go, nah, and pull off of it. Well, I happened to have a top toad that had a yellow belly, and his first cast I threw in there and caught a 5-something. And then we just kept going down there, and it's big one after big one after big one. And then all of a sudden that 10-8 just sucks that top toad down, and it's Notley's a feast or famine, really.
It almost spoil you though, catching some fish like that.
Oh, it spoiled me.
That'll ruin you. I mean,
I watched that funnel open up on that frog, and it just gets sucked down. It looked like a toilet bowl flush.
Man, that's what I'm talking about. We had that question: would you rather catch a 10 or a 6 spot, 10 largemouth? I'm taking a large. I don't care. Largemouth every time. There's something about that fish,
there's something about that big head coming out. All you see is mouth.
Something about it, man. I always love. That's why I like buzz baits. I love that. Toilet bowl flush, smack, whatever you want to call it. That you won't ever get me. So now you got me thinking I need to come up here and fish some of these lakes now. Jim, how are you fishing a fluke right now? Weighted or free? I've had them tied on both ways just to see. If I'll answer just for where we're at because I know he fishes the same place I do. If I'm looking for schools, I'll keep both tied on just because it varies on what level they were at for me. But if I'm just going around points and stuff trying to catch fish, I don't think it would matter too much. I'd probably fish the weightless one because they were killing it on Wadowee on the jerkbait last 2 trips I've been, and you didn't have to have any weight to it because you're throwing it shallow and working it back, and they were hitting it every time. So that's for me. Now linear may be a different story, Altoona may be a different story, but I keep both tied on just in case because you get out there and run into schools out there deeper water, you might need to be a weighted one. And then Kevin's comment, sorry I'm late for the party. Yeah, Kevin, you're really going to be surprised when we do because we haven't done question of the night yet.
It's time, it's time, but we haven't done. But I was going to answer the fluke question as well. You're good. Fluke for me is like a worm. You can rig it 1,000 different ways. This time of year when you're getting a lot of herring eaters, I like a nose hooked one.
Yep.
just because you can sit there and burn it, and it actually swims. And when you kill it, a weightless. But there's one that I've started playing with that I've really started to like, is just a regularly normal rigged fluke with a like a 3/0 Gamakatsu EWG hook or a worm hook, and tie a loop knot in the front, and in that loop on the bottom sides you can put a split shot to weight it. You still get the movement of the fluke because it's not tied directly to but you get the weight to get that nose to dive and keep it down. Right. And you can make it the smallest split shot you want, or you can go up to where it's sinking fast. But you can rig it on a ball. You can rig flukes on ball heads. You can rig them on. You can do a line through rig.
You can fish it on shaky head.
You can fish it on. Yeah, you can fish it on a shaky head. You can fish a fluke a million different ways. You fish it on the back of a underspin. It doesn't really matter. Fluke this time of year is hard to beat, all year actually.
So when you're nose hooking, are you using anything special nose hook, or are you just hooking it right through the nose?
To save on plastics, I use a owner screw lock.
Yep, same.
I screw it into the bait to where the screw lock's hidden completely.
Right.
Then I take my hook and I go through the eye of the screw lock. So when all these fish are thrashing all that, I'm not watching my plastic fly 50 feet that direction. I've still got my plastic. It just rides up the line now because it's got to tear that screw lock out. Another good way to save money on flukes is the line through rig.
I saw you.
I've said it on the YouTube before, and a couple of the social media posts is, I know a bunch of us have kids and use those water balloons that you tie straight to your water hose, and it blows up like 20 of them. Those straws right there, I keep one of them in the boat all the time, and you cut that straw off and shove it into that fluke, and it's a perfect little line through.
I was wondering what that was. I watched your video. I was like, "What is that he's holding?" I didn't know what that was, but that now it answers my question.
It's the water. It's just water balloons, and it's extremely cheap. I mean, you kids use the water balloons, have fun with them, and then you take the leftovers you're going to throw in the trash anyway.
Yeah,
cut you off 3-4 inches like that, and I can always keep toothpicks in the boat with me. Shove a toothpick into that straw, shove it through the nose of the fluke, get it to where you want it, cut it off, and leave about a 1/4 inch in the back side of the fluke. Run your line through it, tie your treble hook on, put your treble hook in the belly, throw it out there, and when a fish takes it, that fluke flies up the line with that straw, and it has no resistance, so it's not ripping your fluke up, and you've got that fish pegged with a weightless treble hook.
Right. And for you folks that are visual, go to Farmer's channel on YouTube, Fishing with Farmer, and he has a video that actually walks you through putting it together. Like I said, I was like, what is that he's using them? But I'd always heard coffee stirs.
But
those stupid cheap.
Yeah, you can get them stupid cheap, but the straws for these water balloons are thinner than the coffee stirs. So I mean, they're perfect, and you can do the same thing with pot rivets.
Yeah,
you'll buy you a bunch of pot rivets, and the pot rivets will actually weight the nose of the fluke, so it'll actually give you a little weight, and it'll make that fluke nose dive.
So on that owner screw lock thing, I had heard about it last year. I would put it in my cart on Tackle Warehouse, whatever. Never would buy them because I'm like, I don't know if I ever use them. Anyway, I was watching another video where they were talking about the different ways to hook it again. I found out. So anyway, Amazon, I got on there, and I'm not trying to screw owner over, but they got 250 pieces for $6. So I bought one of them. I don't know how good they are. They may rust in a week. I don't know. But for $6, I'm like, I can at least use a few of them. But like $6 on Amazon, you get 250 of those darn things. So that's another way. And I'm gonna try it this year because I've wanted to do the nose hook deal. I just hadn't done it yet.
It's a good way of catching a lot of good fish.
Yep.
I found I actually like it better than just a regular normally rigged fluke now.
What kind of hook are you using when you nose rig?
Right now I'm using the owner sniper because it's got an offset bend to it. So when a fish picks it up, because a lot of times
when you say offset to the shank, hook bends out a little bit.
It's offset just a little bit, so it sticks them a lot. Sticks them a lot easier. So you're not pulling it out of there. The only problem I found with it is if you're around anything,
It hangs
it is going to stick. It's going to get stuck.
I think I've got some of I use them for drop shot weights, but it's the same type hook, but I think it's the Bass Pro Shop version of it. I can't remember, but it's the offset like that same hook you're talking
Core
about.
Tackle has come out with one that's I can't remember the name of it, but it's got a weighted hook that you can almost nose hook with and run it through, and you got weight and it keeps it straight, and it makes it swim just like a nose hook.
I got you. Well, let's
I do the same thing. I use a drop shot hook.
Yeah.
Okay.
Size 1 drop shot hook, and I tie a snell knot on it.
Right. So
because the snell will help it roll up.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know what knot I tie on there, but I think I use the same hook that we're talking about. I use it for my drop shot rig. I don't.
I use red ones.
Yeah, I mean it's about the same thing. I think. Yeah. I guess we better do our do what?
You said drop shot.
Oh,
you're sick.
I guess we better go ahead and do our question of the night. And it's brought to you by Serve IT. Listen, if your company is looking for a full service, 100% IT company to handle all their IT, why do it yourself? Why try to hire anybody else? Go check out Serve IT. They've got all your services you'll ever need. They'll take care of you. They're fishermen just like we are, so they understand. And if you're looking for a career in IT, reach out to them. Go to their website on their careers tab, and that you might be a good fit for them. It doesn't hurt to put an application if you're looking to make a change. I don't necessarily think you have to have IT experience, but you have to be willing to learn and and grow with that position. So I'm going to ask a real easy question tonight, because guess what I didn't do? I didn't prepare a question, because when I got here, nothing was working. So I didn't prepare a question. So I got an easy question, and we're going to give out one of Danny's slobber knockers. I know he loves them so much. And we're going to do a bag of Zoom Super Flukes in the Blue Pearl glitter. We're going to do that too. So we're going to do two things. Y'all be ready, because you may not get this right away. So
May stump you.
It may stump you for like 2 seconds, because that's all it took for me to look it up on Google just now, because I couldn't remember myself. All right. So Paul Marks won April 27th at Lake Hartwell. What was his combined winning weight for the weekend? I'll read it one more time. Paul Marks won at Hartwell this weekend. What was his combined total winning weight for the tournament? And that shouldn't take more than 30
I'm surprised
seconds.
it ain't up there already.
I was going to say, I'm surprised it ain't up there.
Yeah. Like I said, when I got here, nothing was working. So
I know it, but I'm not allowed to say it.
Yeah. I didn't know that was the question, and I still know the answer.
And who's the first one up there?
Grant
Sasky's got it right. Good job. All right, you get the slobber knocker and the pack of Super Flukes. I'll leave them on Danny's desk with your name on there. Y'all don't let me forget his name. Forget who won it, because I'll forget by the time we're done with the show. Grant won. Good job. I knew it was going to be easy. So you should be asked. I don't know what Kevin means by that.
He's probably mad because it was such an easy question.
Look, I got here, Kevin, and nothing
should
was
be.
working.
He probably meant to say you should be ashamed.
Yeah, it's probably you should be
The
ashamed.
computer was locked. We had no password. I had to reach out to get a password. So that's how bad it was. Yep. Thank you, Grant. Thank you for participating, buddy. We appreciate it.
That's what it is. He's disappointed. He's disappointed in us.
Hey, we're just glad we remembered it, because it done got almost 20 after before I realized what time it was. It just goes by quick. Split second loss. There you go. See, sometimes it's nice to have an easy one. Then you get to feel like you can actually win it. Brad's question up at the top, I asked them here before, but Farmer might be able to answer better. Do these herring eating spots take the time to guard fry? If so, how long? I'm gonna let you answer that while I go.
Are you good? Yeah, these spots are fry garters. You can really tell by how aggressive they are. But a lot of your fry garters are around docks, around brush piles, something shallow. So it's not like these 20-something foot spots. I don't think they're guarding fry, but I don't think they guard more than a week, if that. So, but yeah, I'd say a lot of these spots that you're catching on the herring eaters are fry garters just by where you're at and how you're fishing for them. I mean, I've already seen a bunch of fry garters up around dock walkways, and you toss anything up there, then spots are so aggressive they're gonna try and kill it or eat it.
All right, so I missed the whole answer, but I think I caught most of it. But M2 painting and service. This is Tristan McFarland. What's the line and rod set for a fluke during the shad spawn? Sure.
I try not to get it any lower than 10-pound test, straight fluorocarbon with my fluke, just because most of the time when I'm throwing a fluke, I'm targeting docks and stuff like that, getting it up underneath these docks, just because I feel like I can get away with a topwater or a Berkeley or the Magic Swimmer, or the Seville or the Sashimi Shad better out in these open places and cover more water. Now, if they want the fluke, they want the fluke, but it's 10 to 12-pound test. Braid to leader, medium rod, spinning rod.
I mean, so for me out there with Dally, what I did last year was, learning my electronics a little better and things like that. So I was focusing on schooling fish, I wanted to find bait fish, bait fish, and go after those spots. So I was using a spinning reel, and because I was throwing it weightless, use spinning reel, and I don't even remember the rod size. It was, it's one of the Daiwa rods. I don't remember what it is right off the top, but I think I was using 8-pound line for that. This is me learning, right? And then I went to a weighted fluke and started throwing it on 12-pound because that's more what all my stuff's rigged with anyway. So that's what I use. Depending on me, I think it depends on what your style is. Alex, how do you?
I throw mine braid to leader with a 16-pound sniper.
There you go.
See, trying to think I really have fell in love with the cast braid on my spinning rods, just because I get so much more distance out of a cast. It comes off your reel so easy.
Yeah.
And it comes in handy this time of year when you're trying to make those bomb casts out there and get to the area where you're seeing fish blow up, or you're seeing, they're there, but you want to stay off of them so you don't pull them all the way to the boat. And that's why I do braid to leader on all my spinning rods. Actually, all my spinning rods. I don't have one with straight fluorocarbon.
Right. Same.
No, they're all braid to leader. And every one of them's got the cast braid on it now, just because of the castability.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. I mean, if you don't have it and you got the Power Pro, like a lot of people got the High Vis Power Pro, a couple others, the Cast King's another one that a lot of people like. You can tell a difference as soon as you put the cast braid on. You're getting 30, 50 feet more per cast than you are what you're fishing with now.
It still blows my mind sometimes.
Oh, it took me forever to get used to casting it, because I'd literally be throwing, and I'm like, all right, this is how hard I got to flip it to get it there. And I'd flip it over the dock, the whole dock walkway.
Right.
I'm like, what's the crap?
Now, I went from using, because I hadn't used a spinning reel in forever. So I went from using some cheap braid to, I can't remember if I bought the Smackdown or if I bought the Bass Pro version. But anyway, I went to the High Vis yellow stuff, and I was like, and it's a dramatic difference going to more high quality line. Well, I got some cheap stuff off TikTok because I was doing a little promotion anyway, and it's even thinner. I'm like, it casts really well, but I cannot wait to try the cast. That's going to be this year's buy.
It's legit
because there's too much. I mean, like I said, I can just notice the difference from cheap braid to
I tell people, if you want to buy it and try it and you don't like it, I'll buy it from you.
Right.
I'll even pay for the shipping.
Wow.
Because
I'll take it off your reel.
Yeah. Well, I mean, yeah.
The stuff is, as far as I can tell, and I mean, I'm not no expert in any way, shape, or form, but it is the best braid that I have used since I've been fishing with braid 2 liter
Right.
on a spinning rod. I can't compare it to anything else because it outperforms everything else.
Right. And what size braid are you using? On your spinning reels?
I'm using anywhere from 10 to 20.
Same.
I go about 15 on mine. So that's
15
what
is usually what I put on it, but if it's a shaky head, or if it's my shaky head or anything like that, it's 20.
yeah, I'm
Just because of where it's going to be putting stuff in.
I'm definitely going to that this year because, like I said, I noticed a difference last year because I wanted to get more involved in the spinning reel. I wanted to learn the, minnow fishing, all that stuff, and you can just tell a difference coming off just with one upgrade. I can only imagine with cast what it's going to be like.
Well, you would think you would lose some sensibility with how easy it comes, how flexible it is.
Right.
You would think you would lose some. You don't. I mean, it just, even if it was stiff braid, you're with stiff braid and this loose braid, you're not losing anything.
I should say the more I've gotten better at the line, the better I've noticed the sensibility. To me, it increased because that stiff braid, I don't know why, but I can tell a difference just going what I've done on even the feel in the bite.
Back when there happens a lot especially in the wintertime, when a fish literally will just sit on a bait. They don't really, they eat it, but they just sit on it.
Yeah.
You can feel them just pick it up. They can feel it, touch it. It's ridiculous how sensitive.
Well, there you go.
But it also goes to rod too.
Yeah.
If you got a Walmart, and I'm not saying anything against Walmart rods because I've got a couple for bank fishing and stuff like that because I'm too afraid to break my other stuff. But it all goes to rod too. I mean, a cheap rod's not going to give you the sensitivity that a high end rod is. Right. But if you get one that's run of the mill, that's kind of in the middle, you'll be fine.
I can tell you from experience, the cheap rods do work because I've got probably a boat with half my rods are cheap rods in it. But dang, man, you end up replacing parts on them more than you do anything else. Like the tips pop off, and my jerkbait rod I've been using for a couple of years, one of my favorite ones. I'm finally gonna have to upgrade it because I popped the tip off again the other day. So it's a cheap wall. I got it for $25 on sale at Walmart. They don't even make the rod anymore. Well, they make it, but it's a different make now from Abu. But anyway, and then Tristan had followed up with how long of a rod. I want to answer that before we got going on too much further than that. So your fluke setup
at my height, I like a 7.4. I like a longer rod just because of my height. I can get away with a longer rod. Anything from I'd say a 6.6 to a 7.4, you're good.
Yeah,
6.6, you're going to be able to skip around stuff easier.
Yeah,
but at my height, I like a 7.4.
Yeah,
I don't think I have a rod that's under 6 or is 7 foot.
I was gonna say mine's anywhere from 6'8" to 7 foot because my rod locker won't hold anything over 7 foot. So, but I agree. The longer rod, depending on what your technique you're going to use. But I think most of mine are like 7 foot, even on the spinning reels. So
I like our Silverpunk's question was, how does a swim do this time of year? I love a swim jig this time of year because everything's shallow. The shad are shallow, the bass are shallow, the bluegill are shallow, everything's shallow, and you can mimic all of it with a swim jig. Two weights I throw this time of year mostly are a 1/4 and a 3/8. The 1/4, if I'm seeing a lot of brim or bait fish around the dock floats up high, I'll throw a 1/4 so I can keep it right up underneath those dock floats. I'll throw the 3/8 if I'm around a lot of wood or pole docks or something like that. That's when I go to my 3/8. But around these floating docks, 1/4.
And what are you throwing on the back of that swim jig?
Rage Menace. I really like a Rage Menace on the back of a swim jig. A Rage Crawl if they're just stupid active, or I've got warmer water. Rage Crawl, a Fat Albert curly tail grub
single,
okay, and just a regular old swim bait trailer. If I'm having to be more finicky, just a regular old swim bait trailer. Okay. I have thrown a fluke style or a straight tail minnow, but you got to do that Carolina shake the whole time you're fishing. It's just sitting there just shaking the snot out of it.
I think that's what I got on mine. I think I put a fluke on mine. So, because that's what I plan on doing anyway.
But the three I use the most are the Rage Menace, the Rage Crawl, and the Fat Albert.
I got you.
Single tail.
All right. Do you often upsize a Cinco? Go from 5 to a 7? That's Brad Silvers.
If I'm around a lot of largemouth, I like the 7-inch.
Yep.
If I'm around a lot of spots, it's 5-inch.
I think I've got 5-inch. That's about the only ones I use. I don't think I ever upsized.
If I know I'm around a lot of largemouth and I'm around bigger bait like bluegill, I'll jump up to the 7-inch.
Yeah.
But if I'm around a lot of spots or smaller quality fish, but I can still catch a big one on a 5-inch, I'll throw the 5-inch. But if I know I'm around a lot of largemouth, like Notley, I throw primarily 7-inch Cincos on Notley.
So, real quick, while we're going that direction, we're obviously moving into post spawn like we talked about.
Mm-hmm.
What if you had to pick 5 baits that you're going to put on the deck of the boat to go fish wherever you want, whatever lake you want to call for tomorrow? Say, I'm going to go this lake, I'm going to fish 5 or just average general baits, whatever. And then what should we all be seeing in that post spawn? Because I think that's where we kind of get in that little funk, with that spawn bite was so good. Now they're post spawn for a minute. You get the 2-week little window there, and then they'll start feeding up. What should they be looking for? And then what baits are you going to throw?
This year's a little different than the last couple years. Normally we're already going into post spawn, and the herring spawn hasn't gotten really good yet. It's started, but it's not been great. But it was a little early this year. Normally what you can do post spawn is you can go ahead and get into that herring spawn and catch those herring eaters and those shad spawn eaters. And then you can also get into your bluegill eaters as well. But the 5 baits that I'd probably throw post spawn right now within the next couple weeks is either the Sebile, some type of buzz bait, either that be a double bladed buzz bait like the B2 or a single bladed buzz bait that's got a smaller a blade. Tony mentioned it, said it was the wee whacker. I have come to like that little buzz bait.
I'm gonna get some audio of that thing.
Oh, it sounds great.
It is unreal how it sounds.
And then I would throw a swim jig around cover because there's going to be a lot of fish starting to get under cover that are post spawn or kind of trying to heal from the spawn. So some type of swim jig. Another one that I'll throw a lot this time of year is a horny toad. I really like a horny toad, especially if the buzz baits get bites going. I'll start with a buzz bait in the morning, and then when the sun gets up, I'm throwing horny toad around docks all day. And the last one is just a regular Arky style jig. That's my 5 that I go with. I kind of start to stray away from my crankbaits a lot.
Yeah.
I start to stray away from I start straying away from jerk baits when as the shad spawn starts to end.
Mm-hmm.
So,
yeah, I noticed once we get a little warmer, that jerk bait, you'll catch some small ones.
You'll catch fish, but it just seems like it dies off. But if I was just targeting the post spawners, that was what I'd throw.
So, and Alex, I want to get your baits here in a minute too. Well, go ahead. What baits are you throwing this time of year?
Right now, I start the morning off with a good top water or fluke, and then I'll switch up. Probably go to a worm, shaky head, or Nico. Underspin. I've got an underspin on my kayak year round.
Right.
24 hours a day. That's probably one of the very first things I'll throw, no matter what. Honestly,
Anyway,
I have a problem with it.
No, it works. It works.
A jig. I have a problem putting down the jerk bait also.
Yeah, that's me.
I do really good with it. And I am working on Texas rig.
Yeah.
Something that I haven't put enough time into. So that's something that I'm working on right now.
I'll throw it. Like I said, this time of the year's time that I'll start catching fish on it again. But I don't throw it nowhere near like I used to. Nowhere near like I used to.
They were asking about the 7-inch Senko and Texas rig 7-inch Senko, black and blue, the fat one, about 60 yards off of a dock light towards the deep water. Drag that sucker on the bottom.
There you go. There you go.
I want. Do you have any ultra vibe speed worms?
Mm-mm.
Go get you some. It's one of the most unutilized baits. I mean, it's utilized in grass, but it works wonders around these lakes. Ultra vibe speed worm, Texas rigged, pegged with a 1/4 ounce, swum through laydowns and brush piles. Will catch.
So you're just swimming. You're swimming
some
through it.
donkeys.
That's and Andrew's got a speed worm coming out too
Does he?
that I'm waiting for.
So a speed
I'll
worm,
try
a
that.
speed worm on these highland reservoirs are overlooked.
I got you. I'll be honest with you. I don't fish a speed worm. I mean, I've got a few baits that I'll throw. You know, this time of year, like right now, everything's come on a spinner bait, jig.
It's Pepsi, Kevin. It's Pepsi.
Alex with beers and 2 packets of Starburst. Yeah. Yeah, I saw him back there eating candy
It's
like a
Pepsi.
3-year-old a minute ago. He's got Starburst and Skittles back there. I saw him eating. I was like, what do they got? But yeah, right now it's been spinnerbait, jerkbait, jig. What else? It's been pretty much shaky head if I get a minute to throw one. And it's been pretty much mine right now. It's been going crazy that everything's been biting on. I get the glide bait out every time I go. I get the Chad out every time I go. I never throw it. I hadn't thrown it. I thrown it like one day at the lake at the house just for a minute, and I was like, let me throw something different. I just hadn't got. I've got to get that confidence.
I'm gonna jump on one of your lives one day, and you're gonna be throwing something small and be like, "Pick that Chad shad up,
Yeah,
throw it."
yeah. I just hadn't. Oh, cerebral tackle's back in. Shut your hole about speed worm. These folks don't need to know the type of juice. Oh, that's hilarious. That's hilarious. Appreciate it, cerebral. That's awesome. Yeah, there's a lot of oh man, if I tell this, I might not be allowed it with Dowie. There's a certain bite this time of the year with Dowie.
Come on, man. What is it?
Well, so when you
That's
fill
what we do
back,
here.
when you fill a lake back up, all the trash floats, right?
Yeah.
So think of that, and that speed worm
Mm-hmm.
over top of that trash. Yeah. So I'll probably ask not to come back to Dowie.
There's that speed worm is hard to beat. I love that thing.
I mean, it's just swimming over top. I got there the other day and that trash was floating, and I didn't think about it. I'm over there throwing what I had. I'm like, it's something else, and I got thinking about it later. I thought, dang, speed worm over top of that, just fluttering over top of that would probably work really well, and it does. So
It comes through. It catches them out of brush. I know that for sure.
It'd be something to pay attention to. I was using something else the other day and actually had a bluegill trying to absolutely annihilate it in that trash pile, but it wasn't the speed worm. But I think you hit the spinnerbait first. But anyway, you throwing a white swim jig or bluegill color?
Both. If I'm targeting herring eaters or shad eaters that are keying in on the shad spawn right now, I want white. If I'm back in these pockets and I'm seeing a ton of bluegill, I'll throw bluegill color. I'm matching what these are around these fish. I'm trying my best to match what these fish are, what they're seeing and what I'm seeing. I'm not going to throw a white one around 50 bluegill that are under a dock. I'm going to throw a green pumpkin one with some type of orange accent to see if I can trigger that bigger fish eating bluegill.
Right.
If I'm seeing a bunch of bait fish and I'm around docks or around laydowns, stuff like that, I'm going to throw a white one.
Right.
But this time of year, start out with a white, and then when the sun gets up and you start seeing brim up under the walkways and up under these floats, then go to a green pumpkin one.
Yeah, I mean, I even start matching my jerk bait to the color of the water a little bit more this time of the year. Like I was throwing a white one and getting bit really good, and I noticed that bite is changing a little bit. So I'll go to that. It's Berkeley's. It's called MF Tennessee Shad. I think it's Tennessee Shad. Anyway, it's got more of the green color, yellow, yellow spot on the belly, purple, whatever it's got on there, and I'll start matching that watercolor a little better and get bit a lot better because that white color is just too obnoxious at some point.
Mm-hmm.
But and then of course I'm waiting for the buzz bait. Like I'm hoping the next couple of weeks is going to be on fire with the bluegill pattern with that. So it's going to be
They're apparently they're already starting to make beds.
Yeah.
Bluegill are already starting to fan.
Well, I mean,
So everything's really, really conjoined this year. I mean, I had fish rolling on themselves Saturday.
Yeah.
Still, I mean, the first time I've seen a male do it before, go between beds. I've never seen a female do it.
Mm-hmm.
She'd go up to one male, roll with him for a little bit, and literally go 5 feet the other direction and roll with another one, and just go back and forth between these two beds.
Right.
I've never seen a female, but they're still rolling on each other right now. They're still spawners, like they've just started rolling on each other. And we've got a herring spawn, which is usually right at the tail end of spawn for the bass. And now we've got bluegill spawning, which usually don't start their stuff till mid-May, that are already starting the 1st of May. Everything's real tight this year. That's why you're still catching spawners and you're getting post spawners, and now you're going to start seeing the largemouth picking on bluegill sooner than you usually see them up there.
Well, we got full moon coming up pretty soon too. It's not a week out.
Yeah,
2 weeks out, something like that. So it'll be around that time. We'll see the bluegill spawn coming out.
I'll be out that night.
Oh yeah,
I'll be out that night.
I may sneak out there at the house. I ain't gonna lie, because it'll be on fire that time.
Full moon, I'll be at work.
I'm getting ready to start chucking that spinnerbait on the shoreline.
Yeah,
just waiting.
Oh yeah,
it's almost time.
Grant asked, "Are clear baits a scam?"
No.
Mm-mm.
There you go.
All right.
I don't think they are. I've got a
now. I don't know about, like, say a crankbait or something like that, a clear bait, but your clear bait, your clear top waters.
That's what I was going to say. Yep.
They're not a scam. Best way I can describe it is while you're out there fishing and you've seen these fish just attacking stuff no bigger than your fingernail.
Yep. Absolutely.
And you can't mimic it.
No, yeah, they're not on anything you can catch them with. For sure.
The best way that I found to mimic that is a big clear top water with a feather treble hook on the back of it.
So
they come up and eat that feathered treble.
Yeah, that's exactly what.
And that is extremely. And another one that works really well with a clear top water is a front runner.
Mm-hmm.
Something acts like it's up there chasing, but they can't see the clear top water. So you got this tiny little front runner out in front, and act like it's getting chased by something. They'll come up and eat it too.
Oh yeah, I'll use a walking bag. I got one that's clear, and it's got the feathered treble on the back, and it's just it'll work. It definitely work.
Especially, like I said, especially when they're chasing that small stuff. If you notice that they're chasing that, the fall is the world's worst. Everybody knows they're eating this year's run of bait fish.
Mm-hmm.
Everything's small. Everything's an inch long, and it's so hard to mimic.
Yeah,
a clear top water with a feathered treble on the back does well. And another thing that I do, and I can't believe I'm letting this loose,
there we go,
is the VMC treble hook that's got the blade on it.
Oh yeah,
put it on the front.
Little center blade there that spins.
Put it on the front.
There you go. I like that. I'm gonna play more with that stuff this year as far as doing the blade. I've already done the feather treble. I'll build my own feather treble. I don't buy the ones off the shelf. I bought feathers off Amazon, Flashaboo, and I'll make my own because I can size them different, especially based on the bait fish. So I got them in anything from 1 inch to 3 inch long feathers. That way I can throw them like that. And far dog, I feel like the Zoom Z Crawler Junior as a trailer on several techniques is the most overlooked lure made. And, and I don't know why, because I got a bag full. I keep Z Crawlers stacked.
Out here, far dog, or over here, Z Crawl is utilized on just about everything.
I throw it on everything.
I throw it on swim jig. I throw it on a buzz bait. I throw it on a jig. I throw it wobblehead. I throw it on a Texas rig. I've punched with a Z Crawl.
Yep.
I love those things.
Absolutely. I use them like crazy.
It's one of my favorite jig trailers.
Now I typically use the junior size more than I use the regular size. For my jigs, I cut them down even more to make them even shorter. And for finesse jig, it's been one of my best trailers I've ever used. For me, I like them a lot.
If I know they're eating bluegill and brush piles, I'll use the big one. I'll cut the big one down to where it doesn't overload the jig.
Yeah.
But because of the bigger kickers, you can make that a bigger profile, beefier profile, and it looks more like a bluegill.
Makes sense. I keep for every bag of juniors I've got for most of them, I've got the full size in that same color, and I do the same thing. I break it down, just depending on, like I said, how they're eating it and whatnot. But what else we got? Go ahead. What bait are you throwing on a rainy and windy day right now? Rainy and windy day.
Rainy and windy day, I get away from your chromes and your shiny baits. I start going with your bone colors, your pearl colors. One of the big ones on Lanier that I don't know, because ever since I saw that that little study that what fish can see, I'll throw the straight chartreuse ones in clean water on a cloudy day, because all that looks is white. It's a different color white, but it's a white.
Yeah.
I have a lot of luck too with morning dawn.
Morning dawn, they're on a cloudy day. I don't know why, but that pink hue does wonders on cloudy days. But anything in bone or white, green pumpkin, you can throw sunny or cloudy. But if you're still going after that shad spawn right now, I'd throw bone or white.
I know somebody asked way up in the questions. We won't try to find it. They were asking about drop shot setup, whatever. What do you use on drop shot? I just started messing with drop shot last year, because for me it's one of those techniques like, oh my gosh. But anyway, I use the Morning Dawn Robo Worm.
Yeah.
I buy the different size ones and just depend on what the fish want that day. And that's been my best. I mean, I go out there and I took my wife out one day. That's how she finally saw her first forward face sonar fish, was on a dang drop shot over a brush pile. And that's what I do with it. So that Morning Dawn is.
I fish a fluke on the drop shot.
Fluke.
Yeah.
I'm gonna try it this year more. I tried it a little bit, but this last year was all the Robo Worm for me. So
my drop shot setup, I like the Berkeley flatworms.
Yeah.
For my drop shot setup, I like the Robo Worms. I know I give a drop shot a bad name. I don't like it, but it's just because I've just not played with it enough. I like a shorter leader than your longer leader.
Yes.
For drop shot. But I'm flipping drop shot around into docks, off a rock, stuff like that. There's guys out there right now throwing drop shot or kicking my teeth in, because there's still spots spawning on these points, and they're dragging that short leader drop shot across them points and catching them, where I'll roll my power baits through there and they're like, nope.
Yep.
You can throw that drop shot around docks too right now and catch them.
Well, that lake, you and I fished. I'll throw a drop shot out there, but I throw it basically like a Texas rig. I'll just rig it where it's not, where I'm not. Typically, when I do a drop shot, I'll nose hook, but I'll actually hook it a little different, and that way I can kind of drag it like a Texas rig, and it still works just as good. But I do the short leader like you're talking. I don't go more than 12 inches for sure.
But I say that we caught fish Saturday, but we just never could find any big ones. The bait of the day for us was a Nico rig, a Berkeley hit worm with a 3/16 ounce snail weight. What I use is the Lunker Cities. It's got the ball head nail weight, and throw it out there and drag it back, and that's how we were catching our fish. Right. We just never could find anything big.
Yeah, it was Saturday. They were biting. It's just I couldn't put two and two. Actually, I put it together, but I have my video coming out next week about it. So Danny's jigs, he ties at Farmer's Color, has been catching them out here in Oklahoma, seeing nobody out here. See this. There you go. Hopefully they don't see it, because you just gave them the juice they do.
It's good to know that the Farmer Special catch them nationwide.
Brad, have you ever used a glow in the dark top water at night with success?
I don't really throw much top water at all at night, other than a whopper plopper or something.
I've never used a glow in the dark top water. I have had success on top water at night, but it's usually around some type of bank light, especially around marinas, a buzzbait or a jitterbug. Your walking top waters will work. It's just at night, you're not seeing everything you're throwing around. So I don't like throwing treble hooks at night unless it's like a crankbait.
Yeah. I'll throw a buzz bait, but see, when we're talking about nighttime fishing, like I'll go really early in the morning. I don't necessarily go at night a lot, but I'll go an hour or so, hour and a half, 2 hours before daylight goes. So it's still dark outside, and I'll throw a buzz bait and usually do really well. I mean, just throw them in those areas where they should be anyway, where they're closer to the banks feeding, and I'll wear them out with a buzz bait.
One of the most overlooked places to fish at night is around marina walkways.
Mm-hmm.
And you may not have the light and everything, but there's light somewhere. So those fish are going to be pushed to the bank, just feeding on everything. And a buzz bait and a chatterbait are hard to beat at night, especially this time of year. I have a chatterbait tied on this time of year at night, no matter what, going down the bank.
I finally got my order in of strutters, so I've got a sack full of white.
You get the new ones?
No, I hadn't got the new ones. I got the ones he was doing before. I hadn't got his new one. Has he already released the new ones yet?
He was showing something on TikTok earlier today.
Okay, I knew he was coming out with it, but he hadn't released it as of when I made my order. But I had to get an order, and I was tired of looking at them. And then Far Dog, Alex, I actually caught some fish down with shaky head, red zoom bug, red bug zoom trick worm. First time for everything, fellas. It's just too slow for me.
Heck yeah, man.
I fish my shaky. I power fish my shaky head. It's on a bait caster, braid to a fluorocarbon leader, and I fish a lot on a heavier weight, and I fish it faster than most because I can't sit there and I power fish it. Now that's to find fish, and once I figure out how they're biting, I may slow down some, but I power fish mine. I don't fish it slow, not real slow.
I fish my shaky head the same way I fish a jig, but I do fish it on a spinning rod.
Well, I guess that's how I fish it, just like I fish my jig. I don't sit there and just I get it back to the boat and I make several casts.
The only time I shake a shaky head is when I hit something. Yep. I drag, and when you feel it hit something, a rock,
pop it
or a log or a brush pile, you sit there and shake it in place.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And don't hop it over the rock. Just sit there, and as soon as it hits it, just kind of shake it. You don't get bit, then move on.
Right.
But normally that's where you're going to get your bites at. Is when it hits something, they're going to pick it up off of that.
Yep, I agree. And then what are the strutters? The strutters are a bladed jig from Brazalo Custom Lures, and they're a back before the patent ran out. I guess they were the closest you could get to direct tie to the head or whatever. So he's got just a different setup. And they make a different noise in the water, I guess. But they got a bar that connects to the head, and then you tie onto that line tie from there. And I've caught some big fish with them this last year, so I like them a lot. I will say this, and I've said it on my lives before. The only thing is, if you start hitting a bunch of stuff with it, it will work itself a little because it's clamped over that bar, and then you got your line tie on there. I've taken some super glue and just super glued those little bends in the metal to help keep them from separating.
Is that what that was all over that one that I came back to you? Because I looked at it and I was like,
what is that junk?
Just sad.
The bad thing is I forgot to do it the night before, so I'm up there in the boat dipping it and sticking it in the water trying to get it to harden up. So yeah, it was super glue. But I did find that if I was hitting the seawalls or something a little bit too hard, it would break the metal or open that little tab up, and the bar would slide out one side, and you'd come back with just the metal blade in on your line tie. So that's where I went. But heretic, I don't know.
He called me a heretic because I was only time I shake a shaky head.
I got you.
When I hit something.
I got you. And Eddie asked, "You ever throw a dead ringer? If so, how do you like to rig it?"
My mind just went blank. A dead ringer's a worm, isn't it?
I believe so. I don't throw them. I don't know.
Is a dead ringer a yum bait?
We got Alex on the Google machine back there. We'll see.
I'll bring it up.
We'll see what comes up.
I want to say it's yum.
Yeah.
I've used a dead ringer, especially on a shaky head, because it has more high float than your Senkos do.
Oh yeah.
It's a lot more buoyant.
It's got that hook tail.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. I know what you're talking about. I just don't. 4-inch worm.
Yeah, I know which one you're talking about.
Yeah, it's a ribbed worm. It's got a hook tail on it.
I got you.
Yeah, it's a 4-inch worm. It's a zoom worm.
Yep.
That's right. It's a zoom worm. Yeah, shaky heads where I like that.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I've probably got some of those.
Yeah, I like it. I like it on a shaky head. A lot of people like it on a drop shot with a heavier weight. Throw a 3/16 or not 3/16, 3/8 ounce bullet weight, or not bullet weight, drop shot weight.
Right.
Let it go to the bottom, and you slow reel that thing back, letting that tungsten weight bounce on the bottom to draw their attention. And there's that little 4-inch, little menace looking bait going through the water. Yeah, I couldn't remember. The dead ringer is actually an older zoom bait, if I'm not mistaken. It's kind of like the centipede.
Yeah. Yeah, I guess so. Well, guys, I guess that's about. I mean, we're getting close to time, so we'll go ahead and call it tonight. It's been a pretty good show. We covered a lot of different things and had a lot of good questions, and we appreciate all the questions coming in, and appreciate you guys stopping by to hang out with us. But I guess we'll just call that a night tonight. And if as Danny would say, if you're going to be on the water this weekend, y'all be safe. Wear your life jackets, PFD, whatever. Be careful. It's starting to get that time of the year where, and I hate to say it, but you can be sitting on a spot and the pleasure boaters think they need to be there too. So I had that happen to me this weekend, but then literally could have went somewhere different. But y'all be safe. Enjoy the weekend, and we'll see y'all next week.